We are borrowing Mike's pickup truck and trailer. We are headed to pick ourselves up some ICF for the YouTube yacht cabin, or YouTube yacht project. I don't know. I can't think straight. I'm so excited. We're gonna have to do something about this though. That's frustrating. What a day. What a day. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, let's see. We're gonna do that. How about one of those? That there. Ooh, $1. Ah, knew it was gonna be a good day. What we got? Here we go. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. All right, let's get that trailer hooked up. Top it off before we go, and then obviously we'll top it off when we get back too. Not gonna leave them on an empty truck. All right, so we made it down to Kentucky. We're buying these off one of Mike's job sites. It's the same guy I was gonna order them from, but he was trying to kind of throw them on another truck to save me on shipping, and the job he was initially gonna ship them to for me to get them from ended up canceling, and turns out I know the other guy who bought from him, which is Mike, and he got a hold of Mike and said, can Kleeman, this guy Kleeman wants to buy some block off of you, and Mike said, I've heard of that guy, and so that's what we're doing. I'm buying some block off this job, and then the salesman is gonna restock Mike's job next week. Anyway, we should be getting pretty close. Mike loves to use directions like before you get to the bridge. Well, technically, when I left the house, I was before the bridge, so we'll see. I think we're getting close. Nice looking machine. He said, take a left at the bottom, and it just makes a big loop, so I guess let's do that. I mean, what could go wrong? We're grabbing some block, and we're gonna put it on. I guess we'll just put it on that ice. I may grab a shovel, see if I can get some of that ice off there first. Tin bundles loaded up, ready to go. Hopefully those ride okay. They do make, and we keep some. I think they're on the low boy. I used to use them all the time. Corner protectors so you don't mess your foam up, but I didn't have them with me, and honestly, it's really not that big of a deal. Everything else looks good on here. Let's hit the road. Let's go pick up some rebar and get this stuff offloaded. I'm fairly confident I could get turned around back there, but I think we're just gonna be effort ahead to just go ahead and back down. Yeah, let's just back down it. Flat out ran you guys over. You see the crack? I think I can fix that. Look at this though. It's icy on top, so the trailer keeps pushing around that corner. Look, you guys missed 27 attempts to get back this far. Nothing exciting though. Nothing exciting. Anywho, we're gonna go ahead and call this good enough and get this stuff offloaded. We'll probably just put it right there for now. So we've got 10 bundles of Nudura ICF. We've got some sticks of 1/2-inch rebar there. I would go ahead and carry them down there, but again, ice, right? We got this layer of ice on here. And now it's starting to rain, even though it's in the teens right now. Indiana, I don't know what we're doing with the weather right now, but it's very confusing. We have a little bit of a mess to clean up, a little bit of mud washed in. There are concrete footers down there, believe it or not. The next step that we're going to do is get all this stuff cleaned up, moved up out of the way, and get ready to start stacking block on the YouTube yacht. Which, just in case you're new to the channel and you don't know, it's a rental cabin we're building in southern Indiana in the shape of a paddle wheeler boat. That's kind of what we're going for. Should be a lot of fun. All right, it's a new morning. We got more ice last night. That's good for the wipers. Anyway, I already fell and busted my butt once. It's pretty slick out, but we're gonna try to get a little bit done. Trees are hanging a little bit lower this morning. Step one's going to be getting that string picked up, get any concrete chute and those 2x4s picked up and out of the way. And I'm going to try, we'll see what it's like to get that footer cleaned off. If it's too much of a chore with the weather we got, we may just walk away from it and come back tomorrow. But if we can make progress, let's try to make some progress. You guys are going to laugh at my cooler setup, but I'm hoping this helps with battery charging today. You guys remember Keith L sent this awesome Ryobi inverter up to us to try it out. Not a sponsorship, he doesn't work for Ryobi, he just thought it was cool and wanted to know my thoughts on it. So I brought it over to plug in my DeWalt battery charger off of it, and I thought I'd put it in a cooler. You guys know batteries don't like the cold. Oops, wrong button. And the battery charging process should give, look at that, there you go. Should put off a little bit of heat from being in the cooler. Hopefully that kind of keeps it warm for me and keeps my batteries charging up. And it's got a USB so I can plug in my GoPro batteries. That's the wrong connector. Daggone it. Oh, let's try this one. Yes, there we go. I think I can plug in my GoPro battery charger as well. There you go. Both chargers charging. Flashing good. And this little indicator, if it's too much power for the inverter, will turn red. So you know, and it's still showing green. So close that lid up. Hopefully we'll have good batteries for today. Let's just see what it's like down in here. You guys see I put the safety caps on my rebar. Oh. Alright, let's wrap that string up. So I came over here real quick. I thought, you know what, let's just dig a quick sump hole big enough to put a little water bailing bucket in, dip it down there, we'll let it fill up and we can just get some of this water out of here. And then I remembered that this, you know, it's nothing but rock here. And even if we got that one out, you know, the one below it. And check this out. This is just neat. Look at that crack. Isn't that neat? That is neat. Even if there wasn't ice, we'd still have to go through and shovel this because there's quite a bit that kind of rolled in off the edges. We'll make sure it's good and clean. So It's not necessarily an extra step, but you know, water, winter, the things that go well together, right? We're cleaned out all the way around. There is still a little water in there, but not much. It's pretty much less than an inch all the way around. Still charging. That's good. It's actually, I don't want to say hot, but it is warmer in here than it is outside, that's for sure. So we got all the mud and everything shoveled out all the way around. Of course, the ice that came with it. Like I said, I tried to dig that little sump over there. It just didn't happen. But I will say, after going around and doing this, after going around and doing all that, I've made a decision on what the next step is going to be after we get this block we have now. After we get 2 courses up in the general shape all strapped and braced off, the next step, I've made that decision. And I think it's going to save us some time in the future. See if we can get those bundles down here without hurting myself. May go ahead and grab that concrete chute and get it off there too. And I know, just take it apart, but here's the problem. All the screw holes are covered with ice solid. And I tried to get a few out on the other side and had a heck of a time, so we'll just drag it out. That's fine, bud. It's out of the way. Let's get those down the hill. I'm hoping we can just kind of toboggan those things. I mean, it's closer. Right open there, bud. You're good to go. So just in case you're not familiar, which most of you that follow Dirt Perfect know that he uses this quite a bit, but this is Nudura ICF. Nudura is the brand. Somewhere right there. Nudura ICF. It's 8 foot long, 18 inches tall, 6-inch concrete core. Has built-in rebar chairs. This is HDPE, high density polyethylene. And it's also, if you just peel a little bit off, there she is. You've got a 1.5-inch wide stud right here that you screw everything to on the outside and on the inside, and that's what we're using for this. I'll explain why I'm using ICF kind of as we go along with the project, and we might talk a little bit about it today. I'm not 100% sure, but I will say this, just so you know, they do make 90-degree corners, pre-formed, pre-made, but I only need 4 total, and I didn't really feel like buying just 4 because 6 come in a pack. Anywho, we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way with a hand saw, 45s on it. I've done that plenty of times. Perfect. I've done it plenty of times. It works really well. There's a couple things you have to watch out for when you do it, and I'll point those out to you. A lot of people say Sawzall, skill saw, whatever. I've used hand saws every time I've ever built an ICF home, and I just think they give you the best cut. Honestly, a Sawzall gets kind of squirrely on you. Not that it matters, you spray foam it all shut anyway. Just cut the web right out of the way. It doesn't take much at all, really. You're not really needing that. That piece of rebar is the corner. It's just there as a reference. We just kind of shoved it out of the way for now. through again. So like I was saying, there is something you do have to really watch out for when you cut your own corners. On Nudura's pre-made corner, they have a web that goes from here to here and supports this outer piece. Just imagine that running all the way through. When you cut it, you lose that, and now you've got almost 2, 4, 6, 12 inches of unsupported styrofoam here. That's going to blow out if you don't do anything with it. Absolutely, I've seen it before. It happens. What you got to do is just run some 2x4s on the outside, what we call strap it, on the top and the bottom, minimum 2, top and bottom, and that'll keep it from blowing out. I would not recommend building the whole house this way. This isn't, I don't feel like ordering corners and you're going to build the whole house this way. That's not a good idea. You're going to be taking on a lot of risk with the blowout like that. But if you're in a pinch and you're just finishing out and you need 1 more corner or 2 more corners, you don't have it, this works great. Also, in this case, I said 4 corners, but honestly, I might only have 2 90 degrees because this wall I'm sitting on right here is going to keep on going that way and angle up and curve, and that's going to be the support for the paddle wheel in the back. So I don't have any more 90s. From here on out, this one will go right through here, and these will just be teed into it. So that's why I didn't get any corners. It's not that big a deal if you know what to look for, but just be sure you're aware of that. Normally, where we start the second course would be dependent on where that corner comes out. But, I don't know how well these marks show up. You got 1, 2, 3 cuts. That's to help make the radius, and we'll explain that more as we start coming around the bow there. I'm going to start this block based on where that cut is, so the next block has plenty of meat to bite into. You'll see what I'm talking about. We'll start her there. I got a bit 90 rebar sitting right there that'll go here, but like I mentioned, this is going to run out and cantilever out. It'll come up, that'll support the paddle wheel right there, but these are running a little bit different way, so we've got to cut these out right here where it's going to run across. I say cut them out. That's all you got to do. You just pop them off and we should be able to run right through there. May have to cut just a little bit lower. Pretty fancy cut. And that'll keep everything out of the way for these on the bottom side of the next block that runs across there. We've got those 2 stern pieces. As we start the stern, those 2 pieces on, we got to fill that and that end, and I'll show you. This is 15 feet from outside to outside, and it is currently that. So now we just cut to fill this in tight to that. But we want the concrete obviously to flow around and be one mono wall. So we just have to cut this section out. Again, we're cutting a web, and anytime you have to cut a web, Now, fellas, got to remember, you got to reinforce it on the outside before you pour. So you cut that web, and we'll run 2x4 strapping on the outside so that that doesn't weaken that form. Just like that. Now we put this in, the concrete can flow all in there, just wherever she wants, bud. I'll just slide right in there. Good to go. Yeah, looks really good. Just want to double check my 15 feet real quick. Set that down. Perfect. It looks real good. That'll fit in there real tight. This is how we're going to get that radius. We just cut a kerf about a 1/2 inch wide, equal distance, spaced out along there, about halfway down. We got to do the same thing on the next course in the same spots so that they line up, so that those kerfs, those cuts line up. And then we'll try to get that back section to snap together because it does not get cut. And that's how we'll get that sweeping radius for the bow. This is one of the reasons I went with Nudura. The other blocks, like I said, the other ICF manufacturers, they're all great blocks. They really are. But with the 8-foot block on this, most of the other blocks are 4-foot. The 8-foot block makes it a lot easier to do radius walls. Nudura has a spreadsheet. Depending on what radius you want, it will tell you how much that kerf has to be. I don't have that spreadsheet with me. I'm just kind of winging it to see how it works out. But they do have that information. So if you have a specific radius wall you want to make, you can look that up. They'll provide the info, you make the cut, and it works perfect. We've used it on several homes, several porches as well. It works great. Well, let me get the next one on and we'll see if we can get it all locked together, and we'll keep working our way to the point. That's good. So that looks really good, and then we've got some wiggle room here with how far we can take that. That looks really good. Let's get the same thing done on that side, locked in, and then we'll keep coming around to this point. Oh yeah. Good morning. It is the next morning. The battery died on you at some point, which means that inverter charger, for whatever reason, it shut off at some point. I didn't realize it. And all my GoPro batteries were dead. But we'll show you the progress made in the next clip here. I think I left you on that bottom course last time around, and I got a little bit more work done. Like I mentioned, my daggone GoPro battery died on me. But let's come up around here. There you go, bud. That looks pretty good. Let's go down and take a little bit closer look at it. I'll show you what I did yesterday off camera, and then we're going to do a little bit more work on this bow. Obviously, there's the bow. That's going to be the stern. This board here we put in as a brace, but that measurement makes that measurement. So I measured inside to inside, and now inside to inside at this point. That holds that measurement, which keeps these two walls the same, and we used 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 corners to cross measure and make sure that rectangle is squared up. From that point, that block right there, there's a screw in it. That's the center point on that wall. And if you look real close right in the middle, there's a screw on that board. That's the center line of there. We ran a string down the keel line, you can call it that if you want. Ran a string down the center line, and that's how we found the cut, or the angle to cut those blocks up top. You can see we have the rebar pins on the outside there. There's a matching one on the other side. Whenever we poured, I put those on the outside so I could push pressure against them. That way we could get that curve to form a little bit easier on the install. There's that center line, that string right there. You see that on the board I was talking about? Runs down to that block. And then we ran that string line. It's just hanging right there right now, obviously, but ran it right out the front to get that angle. So right here at the point at the bow, that needs to come together a little bit more, but it's not that big a deal. An awesome thing about ICF is anywhere you have a big gap, you can cut and put a piece of EPS there and just put a couple boards on the outside and you're done. It's ready to go. Someone made the comment on the video or on a post I made that that's going to be a pain in the butt. It's not. ICF is the most forgiving and easy thing to work with as long as you have a little bit of common sense about the pressures that concrete can put on things. Anywho, enough of that rant. Almost lost my cool there for a minute. Anyway, here's what we've got. We have the general shape of these curves, but I don't want that curve to go straight up vertical. I mean, it still says boat, but I don't want it to say, I think that's a boat. I want people to be like, is that a boat? Did they put a boat in the woods? It needs to have some dimension to it. Just a little, not a lot, just a little. So the theory here, what I want to test and what I want to try is on this end, on the bow, if we make this piece, this cut right here, a little longer each time, in theory, it should slowly force the bow to have a little bit of a rollout like that, which will really, really sell the ship shape. Bristol fashion. You have to say it if you say ship shape. It doesn't matter. That's the theory. Like I said, I have no idea if that's going to work. That's just a thought in my head. And this is my favorite thing about building something creative like this, is that you get to experiment with it. And I have no idea if it's going to work, but we're doing it. And just because I know some people might make the comment, just show it to you in there. I did get rebar in that first course. It is down in there. You can see it coming to the point here. I'll have to make some kind of bend to put a piece on there, but we do have rebar in that bottom course on both sides. Looking real good. These are nothing more. These are 3-inch T25s. That's all they are. 3-inch T25s, nothing fancy. You don't have to use anything fancy with the ICF. Or we'll just put her there. Boy, that's gonna be a pain in the butt to get that to close up. You're right, that was tough. That was tough, bud. I'm gonna add a longer one down there too. I wanna catch probably 6 studs. We're gonna go right below that. There's gonna be a lot of pressure right here, and we're really trying to avoid that blowout. Yeah, that looks really good. I wonder if I need to take the saw and taper that cut back. That way the top pushes out, but the bottom stays in line with the seam below it. Let's try it once. I can sit here and think about it all day, or we could just try it and see what happens. Let's put rebar in this course. Let's cut 2 long ones and do it one more time. See what we get. So I got my rebar on both sides. I'm gonna get these cuts made. That bottom one, I did an inch difference. This top one, I just wanted to try to see if we can push it even more. I'm gonna do 2 inches. I don't know if we'll get it to happen, but we're gonna try it. I'll meet you guys after I get these cut. We'll get them snapped into place and see what it looks like. I don't know. Oh, okay. I'm gonna recut that course we just did. The inside looks really good and tight. The inside looks good and tight and it's pushing, but the outside you can see I got something off on that measurement. So let's just let's recut it. Let's try again. That looks a lot better. The problem I had, or the mistake I made, is that I measured off of this cut right here, and you can see that cut's a little wonky. It was not perfect. But once I centered up and found out where the point needs to be with a couple straight edges, it looks great, and that fits a lot better. And it's slowly, let me come over here. If you look at it here, you can see it's slowly starting to get a little bit. It's not gonna be drastic like that. It's just going to be ever so, just enough to kind of sell the dimension. That's what we're after. Again, it's that balance between function and theme, but you can see it is starting to get a little bit forward on us here too. So that's going to look really great. I think it's going to look awesome. What I'm going to do to keep that center line established, what I am going to do to keep that center line exactly where it needs to be, I'm going to set a vertical pole on that end, just attach it to the block like this. Same thing on this end, right where the center line is. And then I can adjust the string line for each course I go up. Every time I go up a course, I can put the string line up there and I can get a measurement to that string to make sure that stays exactly where it needs to be all the way up. That should work pretty well. Pretty simple solution. It looks like a boat, right? I mean, we're getting there. I'm pretty excited about it. I've got one more bundle of block and a loose one, so I've got 4 more bundles. Just go set you right up there in a time lapse. I'm gonna do 2 block down each side. And I'll tell you what we're gonna do on the next video and what the next step is. So, what do you guys think? That block there that I left, the little end of it is broken off, and I'm using full blocks around these curves. It just kind of helps hold that a little bit better, keeps it a little bit stronger. Not a big deal, the end of it's broken. I can cut up in pieces and use on the stern section there. Not a big deal at all, but what do you guys think? I think it's coming together good. It's hard when you make 2-dimensional drawings to imagine what that 3-dimensional shape is gonna look like. I was having a hard time visualizing how that bow is gonna come together, but I'm really happy with the way it's come together. We may tweak it a little bit as we go, but that's the beauty of ICF. It's very forgiving as far as creativeness goes. And like I said, as long as you have a little bit of common sense and understand how concrete pressure works and where it's gonna push at whenever you pour, and you do the right reinforcements on the outside of the strapping, not a big deal at all. Again, that's just the beauty of ICF. Now, as far as what's next, well, I kind of just gave it away, I guess. A whole lot of strapping, a whole lot of reinforcement. The next video will be going over strapping and why we're putting it, where we're putting it. We'll probably go ahead and cut out where the door's gonna go, maybe put a door buck in, which is what frames out the door for whenever we pour. We're gonna go ahead and put center line posts up on each end so we can establish that string line. And I'm thinking about, not even thinking, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna order a load of stone. I'm gonna go ahead and get some pipe. I'm gonna go ahead and run a foundation drain around this. And I know that's a little bit backwards. That's not what you would typically do, but here's things to keep in mind on this. If we were a contractor and we were coming in here to build this for somebody, you'd pour the footer, the next day you'd stack the block, 2 to 3 days later, you'd pour that concrete. A day or 2 after that, you'd go ahead and put the foundation drain in, backfill, waterproof, and be done with it. We don't have that luxury on this because, like we've mentioned before, we're using our YouTube earnings to pay for this. And that means we obviously don't have all the money at once to do the whole project. We're just kind of doing it as we get that money. That being said, we still have to finish stacking this ICF. The floor, or ceiling, I guess, depending on what side of it you're on, will also be ICF and concrete. And we want to pour all that together and one monolithic pour, so it's as strong as it can possibly be. That means it might not be until May that we actually pour the concrete and it's strong enough to backfill all the way. That's a lot of time for more mud to get washed in down along the bottom of that ICF, and I don't want to be down there digging it out anymore. So if I put a pipe in around here, it's going to be a bear getting through that rock, but I think we can do it. And I get through that rock over there to daylight it out just a little bit. We can keep the mud and the water out of there. I think that's going to save me a lot of trouble in the future. Again, I'm not talking filling it up with stone. We don't want to put that kind of pressure on the wall and move it around. Just enough to cover a pipe on the outside and that same amount of stone on the inside to keep the pressure equal, and that'll keep the mud from getting down in there as much. I know the mud will still get down in there some, but if I kind of lay the stone at an angle, it'll just, listen, the whole point is I don't want to dig mud out anymore. I'm kind of over that point, over that part of this project. So if I can do a little bit of work to prevent that, well, that's what we're going to do. And I'm pretty excited about it. Pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about just where we're at on this thing. And I definitely think it's worth mentioning, we wouldn't be where we're at without you guys supporting us. The likes, the comments. I know you guys are telling your friends and your family about the channel, supporting the channel. It's because of that stuff right there that we've been growing the channel and we've been able to support this awesome project. We're pretty excited about it. Very excited about it. Really, that's an understatement, and I don't know a good enough word to tell you how excited about it we are. All I know how to tell you is we appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.